where are we? About here? Yeah, round about here. I got the eating the chocolate, broken tooth. I look like Dumb and Dumber, so I just go side on.
Just have a quick photo of me going like this to Tony.
Yeah, and then that. Afterwards.
Spit out a Tic Tac.
Yeah. No, it's good to see you. Well, we missed you on the way out. Remember?
Yeah.
We were trying to get.
Yeah. Oh, I've been back and forth a couple times since then, and yeah, just I've been all over the show. I've been here, and then I've been back over there, and then I got to come back over here because my work visa is finished. So I'm just running back and forth like a madman at the moment, and then I'm off to Florida on Monday, and then when I get back, I'll be based here for a little while anyway, and we'll just see how it goes, you know. Now that everything, are we doing this now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Keep going. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize we were on already. Okay.
Somebody, somewhere, make some noise.
Yeah, no, just we'll just see how it goes, and now that everything's back open again, we're gonna fly back and forth. I've hooked up with No Limit Boxing, which is like the Duco of Australia. You know, they just signed another 5-year deal for pay-per-views and TV. So, and I'm their guy, so I'm super pumped about that. And Duco, speaking of them, just did a giant show over there with Cambosos Haney, and that was unbelievable, right? That was Rob Laver Arena. I've looked at that place and seen the tennis, you know, the Australian Open for years, and they just plopped a ring right in the center of main court. And there was about, 20,000 people on the outskirts. It was just, and the Greeks there, the Greek Australians, off the charts.
Yeah. Well, that was like that when K1, wasn't it? You know, with the Greek was great.
Yeah.
Great followers of the fight game.
Yeah. The Helios Club. There's about 10,000 of them, and you could hear them coming from a mile away. They were all singing on the way to the stadium, and I'm like, what's that? And you could just hear stuff rattling, and then they all came in. It was just like, wow. And what an atmosphere that was. Yeah. And Cambosos, George is just one of the, he's got a heart of a lion. I've never seen anybody fight like him before, and he'll be back. He's so focused. He's a focused fighter, super focused, and he's one of my favorites.
That's a long way from when you started over here in New Zealand, mate.
Yeah, I believe the first time I did a show was with you, and you were like, where do you want me to go? And I was like, I don't know, where do you want me to go? We were at the YMCA in Hamilton or something, right? Back in the day. Well,
and now for all the fight fans here at the Hamilton YMCA, ladies and gentlemen, would somebody somewhere make some noise?
they always said you got to put your 10,000 hours into something to become proficient at it, right? And we've definitely both done that.
Yeah.
And, how long has Combat TV been going for now?
Since 95.
Since 95. See, the reason why all of us have to come in here and meet Tony on a rainy day in the middle of nowhere is because he's got film on us doing something nefarious. So he's like, look, you want this to come out? You better come in for that interview. So here we are.
I'm still holding that knee one over you.
Oh, yeah, right. That was a joke, but he does have something on me.
And that's not all.
Oh, jeez, Louise. Oh, yeah, one could imagine. But, yeah, I mean, No Limit Boxing is a fantastic organization over there. George Rose, Matt Rose, Trent Rose. They're just, it's a family business, and they all play their part. Everybody's a spoke in the wheel, and it's kind of reminds me of Duco. When they're at the top of their game, everybody has a spoke in the wheel to do, and it just makes it go so much smoother. They got some incredible talent over in Australia at the moment. But I will say, I don't know about here in New Zealand, but Australia, there's been a lot of hand problems recently. Broken hands, Harry Garside, Nikita Zhu. Tim Zhu had to get his done, I think. Before Jai Pataya broke his jaw, he had his hand done. The list continues. There's a lot of broken hands going on over in Australia at the moment. So, but in saying that, you got guys like Lucas Brown that's been in the business for 20 years who's just, a resurgence at his age, and it's just fantastic to see sometimes.
He didn't have to do it against Junior, though.
True. Yeah, I was there for that. Yeah. And I was watching it ringside, and I mean, it was just I'm glad Junior's okay after that.
Yeah.
Getting hit by a punch by Lucas Brown can't be good for anybody. So we're glad that Junior's okay. Junior's one of the nicest guys in the game, and he'll be back. He'll be back bigger and better than before, I'm sure of it.
Would you have went over if it wasn't for COVID, or would you have still made the move over there?
Yeah, I mean, I immigrated during COVID, which in hindsight probably wasn't the smartest idea in the world. You know, I got locked down here twice, as we all did for, 107 days or whatever it was, twice. And then I will say this, my story the last couple of years kind of winds this way and that way. I left here on a Tuesday to go to Australia, and on a Thursday, New Zealand got thrown into another 100-odd day lockdown. So I missed that. But then I was locked down twice in Australia, and then everything shut down in Australia, because what we do for a living, there's going to be thousands of people there, and they were letting 10 people go to a funeral, so we were out, and it was just incredible. And then we had a double show in Sydney with the Maloney brothers, another two unbelievable fighters, the Maloney boys in Australia, right? One just, I believe Jason's off to Japan in 3 weeks. He's got a world title fight. He's ranked number 1 in the WBC now. And then we had the Gallen Darcy Lussick fight night. After that, 184 people came down with COVID on the Lussick Gallen fight night. I was one of them. I got it. 2 of the promoters got it. All the ring girls got it. I mean, everybody came down with it. So I was on my way back to the States on Christmas Day here. It was Christmas Eve back home, right, because they're a day behind. I was going to surprise my parents and show up on Christmas Eve. Well, Christmas Day shows up. I get the test up the nose. They said 45 minutes. We'll give you your thing. I was like, okay. I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, boom, came back positive. So I was like, oh, whoa, that's unfortunate, right? I felt a little jaded, but I thought I did have a couple beers the night before. I'm thinking, So I went, wow. So I showed a guy. He backed up immediately, and then they sent me to a back parking lot in the Australian sun. And I was out there for about 7 hours before I had to dial 000. And I went, I know it's Christmas Day and everything, but I got to go to the bathroom. They won't even let me back in the airport, and I'm I'm out here in parking lot 7. So they came and got me. One little driver, and he was like wearing his Halloween costume. He had the shield on, he had the hat, he had the gloves, he had it all on. He was driving, and he looks at me, he goes, "You go to the back of the bus." So I went to the back of the bus. I'm the only guy on the bus, right? So at this time, I'm like, where am I going? I don't even know where I'm going. They sent me to this isolation hotel in Mascot, Sydney. I think it was for 10 days or something like that. And by day 2, it was over for me. I felt I was back to normal, and it was a long time. And you weren't even allowed to leave the room. They turned the gas off in your room, so you couldn't cook anything. You could only eat these little microwavable dinners, right? So I was just going nuts after this. So after this, I went back to Florida for 4 months to kind of let this COVID thing blow over, because Florida is like a time machine. It's like going back in time to 2016. I mean, there's no masks. I went from an isolation hotel for 10 days. 48 hours later, I was at Tom Brady's last game last year against the Buffalo Bills with 65,000 people around me without a mask in sight.
Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, I mean, he just kept it open. I mean, you're still allowed to adult in Florida. You want to drive a motorcycle, you want to wear a helmet, wear a helmet. You don't want to wear a helmet, don't wear a helmet. But, it's your decision. I don't wear a helmet. So we're looking forward to it. I'm back there on Monday, and I'm there for 7 weeks, because as you know, normally everything shuts down in this part of the planet for for fights and everything like that, and then it cranks back up in late February, March. So during that time off, that's when I go to Florida, kind of try and follow the sun.
You've met some of the big names in the boxing world. You think that you might get a chance to take over Michael Buffer or something like that?
First of all, I've worked with Michael a few times now. Pacquiao Horn was great. I did the first 13 fights. He did the 14th and 15th, I think. And then Cambosos Haney won. I did the 13, and then he did just the main event. He's the nicest guy you want to meet. I hope he never retires. He's, he's just such a cerebral, low-key. I think you can kind of tell I was a little hyped up. I'm a little high-strung, Tony, if you haven't figured it out by now. And he just calmed me down, and by the time I hit the ring, I was ready to go. I'm like, I'm working with Michael Buffer now. Nothing can go wrong. So this was just great, But, on this part of the planet, I mean, it's a numbers game. Why fly somebody down business class or first class, and then put them up in a hotel, and then do this and then do that. When we get this idiot right over here, they can do the same thing for a tenth of the price. So, it's a numbers game as well as anything else, I'm sure of it. But some of the opportunities that I've had me hanging out with Lou DiBella, I mean, the man played himself in Rocky 1. At the end of the credits, it says Lou DiBella as himself. And I was like, whoo! I was like 15 then, Yeah. So it's just great, Brad and the guys from Top Rank and Bob Arum is a real funny guy. And, I mean, these guys are just icons in the sport. They're all in multiple Hall of Fames, and we had the same thing when the Colonel Bob Sheridan used to come down here and do all the Joseph Parker fights. I mean, once in a while you get to hang out and breathe the same air as greatness, and it's just it's fantastic air.
Yeah. But the atmosphere in those places and being ringside, just a dream.
When I did the George Cambosos, the big wind up for his entrance into the ring, and at the end, I throw the cards. And one of the cards misses one of the icons I was just talking about in the forehead by about that much. So thank you for that miss. Anyway, I have it up on some website somewhere, but as I brought George into the ring and the bell guy was whacking the bell, he whacked it about 8 or 9 times. And I was only about from me to, the wall away. And I'm looking at it. And all I can see is the motion. I can't hear the bell. When normally you hear that bell once, you jump out of your seat, I couldn't hear it. It was unbelievable. One other time like that was Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz. When I announced that Joe just won the WBO Heavyweight Championship of the World. Happy birthday, Joe. It was JoJo's birthday yesterday or the day before, so he's be fighting in January, right? He's fighting very shortly. We'll wish him the best. It's fantastic. I mean, the whole thing. It's a family, as you know. We get to hang out, and it's not just the fights. It's what happens before the fights, after the fights. It's a whole encompassing lifestyle, and I love it. I still love it as much as I did day one.
Hey, great to have you talking, and there's a couple of things, like I always remember those first days, when we first meet each other. You were a basketball commentator before that.
Yeah, for Sky Television, right, for the NZNBL.
At that time as well.
Right. That was the glory days of the NZNBL with Pedro Cameron and Ed Book and Phil Jones and Lindsay Tate and Paulie Hanare and just, the whole crew. I mean, that 2003 Tall Blacks team, they came in third that year, the World Championships. They just played unbelievable, and it was great. And at that time, those guys were just bigger than life. It was fantastic.
It's been great watching your journey and being alongside you for a lot of it.
Fantastic, Tony, and I can say the same because this guy has more film on everybody that you could possibly imagine. It's like the mafia on steroids. So if you've done anything nefarious one time at any boxing thing at any time, Tony's got it on film. If he calls you for an interview, you get your butt down here.
Yeah, good on you.
Thanks, Tony.
I was just thinking on the way. Oh, I've got to get you to do one thing.
What? Yeah.
Joseph Parker. You've got to do the name. The mic warm up.
You want me to do that, do you?
Yeah, the mic warm up. All around, if you were lucky enough to be early to the fights.
Oh, right. Well, that's why I do it. That's why I do it. Yeah. That's why I do that. It's better than just sitting there going, testing 1 2, testing 1 2, check. I'm like, look, I'm just going to do JoJo's intro, and these guys can mess with the knobs as I do it because that's how I'm going to do the rest of them. So that's it's a little inside information. If you ever come early to one of those events, my mic check is Joseph Parker's introduction.
You going to do it today?
You want me to do it today?
I'd love you to do it today.
Can we talk about that knee film that you have on me, perhaps?
I knew there'd be a trade-off.
All right, you stand here. You can be JoJo.
Okay.
You need it sucking. You got a little Tony. You're Joe. Okay. And his opponent fighting out of the blue corner enters the ring wearing black trunks with green trim. He weighed in 105.7 kilograms or 232 pounds. He hails from South Auckland, New Zealand, representing the beautiful country of Samoa. He is trained by world-renowned boxing coach and trainer Kevin Barry. He has 30 professional fights with 27 wins, 3 losses, with 25 big wins coming by way of knockout. He is the reigning, defending WBO heavyweight champion of the world! Lupe Soliai La Uli Ole Maliatoa Joseph Parker. I'm gonna need some sort of a mailing address for that invoice, Tony.
Good on you, mate. I was thinking on the way in here too, it was about the time we went to the corporate boxing and you were chasing the promoter afterwards.
Oh.
Why did you say that name?